In this video, I'm gonna show you how to build a business that people love and the exact steps and strategies that you can take right now in order to build a unique competitive advantage. Something that will have customers lining up wanting to do business with you and only you, and that will make your competition completely irrelevant. So let me show you how it's done, starting with the very first step in the process, define. The secret to succeeding, building, and growing a profitable business that people love can be boiled down to just three things. The first of which is your business's ability to do something better than your competitors. Not all the things, as that's a recipe for overwhelm, and not none of the things, as that's a recipe for creating an average and irrelevant business. But some specific thing that actually matters to your customers. A thing that they value and are willing to pay a premium for. For example, Domino's Pizza delivers your pizza in 30 minutes or it's free. They don't say anything about it being good, or fresh, or healthy, just that it's gonna be fast, and that's their thing. Apple's thing, on the other hand, is the user experience. They're not the cheapest, they're not the most durable, and depending on who you talk to or what you're using it for, it may not even be the fastest or the best, but that's okay, because that's not their thing. They're focused on the user experience. But that's the point. You don't need to do all the things. You just need to focus on that one thing that your customers actually care about. The second secret to building a business that people love comes down to actually caring about your customers and your business. I know, crazy idea, right? But here's the thing, you can't fake this. Your customers can tell and get a sense for when a business is just kind of going through the motions and putting in the bare minimum. The solution to this, then, is to make sure that you're doing something you find interesting, engaging, and are passionate about, but more on that in just a second. Because the next secret to building a business that people love is making sure that you and your business are well positioned in the marketplace. In other words, you're selling something that people actually want, and ideally something that they really want and are gonna really want for a really long time. So to make sure you've got all of those boxes checked, either for a new offer you're thinking about creating or to make sure that your existing business is sustainable and on the right path, I'll walk you through a simple framework now called the Sweet Spot Snapshot. So let's take a look. I want you to imagine, and even write down if you have a pen and paper handy, 3 different circles, and label one skills, another interests, and the third market demand. And your business's sweet spot is going to be found at the intersection of all 3 of these. So let's start with skills first. These are your unique abilities, so ask yourself the following questions. First, what are you good at? Try to make a list of all the things that you excel at, or are at least better than average. Next, what do you do for work? Your work experience can provide clues. Even if you don't necessarily love what you're doing right now, there are probably elements and certain areas of it that you excel and others that you find a little more challenging or not quite as enjoyable. Next, what do you do better than most people? In all of my experience, having worked all over the world with all kinds of different people, I've yet to meet a single person that doesn't excel in at least one area. Everybody does something better than someone else. It could be writing, or painting, or running, or swimming, or thinking creatively, or strategically, or drawing diagrams, maybe karate, cooking, world's fastest shoelace tire. Next, what do friends and family ask you questions about? Again, this is a pretty good indication of the areas that other people think that you excel in. For example, if your friends and family are always asking you for tips on investing, or finance, or health, or cooking, or some strange hobby that nobody else seems to enjoy but you, the questions that other people approach you with are pretty good indications of areas that other people see you as having some kind of knowledge or experience or expertise in. So double down on those. Okay, next let's move on to interests. These are going to be your passions or previous experiences or things that you're curious about. So ask yourself these questions. First, what would you do for free? Now, I'm not asking you to do work for free, but if you had to, and if money wasn't an object, like we'll cover in just a second, what would you do? If you're struggling to come up with an answer there, this next question will help, which is what would you do if money wasn't an issue? For example, if you had 100 million or 500 million or $1 billion in the bank just sitting there and you no longer had to work, odds are pretty good that you wouldn't just want to spend all day sitting on the beach and sipping margaritas doing nothing. I mean, sure, you might do that for a week or two, but you get pretty bored pretty quick. So what would you do then? How would you contribute? What would you create? Who would you serve? Next, ask yourself, what did I used to enjoy doing as a kid? It's funny just how many trends and patterns and signals that we can learn by looking at our past experiences growing up, the things that we used to enjoy back when we had a little more free time and a little less responsibility. And then lastly, ask yourself here, what do you do for fun? This could include any hobbies, any interests, anything you do after work or on the weekends, or even activities that you haven't pursued yet, but you've always wanted to. All right, once that circle is done, it's time to move on to the next one, which is all about market demand. Now, typically when it comes to building a business and creating profitable offers that are actually going to succeed in the marketplace, they generally fall under one of three different categories, that being health, wealth, or relationships. In other words, is what you're doing or what you're selling going to help make someone healthier in some way, wealthier in some way, or have some kind of better relationship? So if there's a certain area or aspect or offer that interests you or appeals to you, well, head over to Amazon or any other bookstore and start seeing what kind of books and what kind of titles have been written on these subjects. Next, take a look at what courses or what programs or what YouTube channels exist on these topics as well, as this is a pretty good indication that other people are interested in this kind of material. And then ask yourself, what are the current trends taking place in the market right now? This is important because you want to make sure that you're attaching yourself and your business to a growing opportunity, rather than one that's shrinking and is going to be completely irrelevant in 6 months, 12 months, or a couple years from now. Now, when you're going through this exercise, try not to limit yourself. Nothing is too big and nothing is too small here. For example, if you used to love playing video games as a kid, or maybe you still enjoy them now, well, make sure to write that down. If you're super into Pokemon or Fortnite or Call of Duty or League of Legends or anything like that, write that down too. Do you like chess or drawing or photography? Write it down. And if there are parts of your current existing work that you just really love, for example, say your colleagues are just super positive, happy, upbeat people, well, write that down too. The next step then is to do a bit of a brainstorming / mental dumping session and just get as many ideas and potential offers out of your head and written down as possible. Here in step 2 is where you're going to take a look at everything you've written down and start to try to come up with new business ideas and offers. Just like in the previous step, try not to limit yourself. Some of the craziest ideas have gone on to make millions, so just write it down. For example, if you like making cat memes, well, you'll be encouraged to hear that Eric Nakagawa sold his cat memes website for $2 million. Or if you want to go the more traditional product-based route, you'll be pleased to hear that a company that specializes in making goggles for dogs, called Doggles, yes, that's real, well, it's making a few million a year. So write down everything. And if you already have existing products or services that you're selling, make sure to write them down as well, as you're going to be putting them in a head-to-head battle right now as we unpack step number 3, decide. It's here in step 3 that I want to introduce you to a formula that I call the perfect offer. So here's how to use it. First, go through your previous brainstorming / mental dumping session and pull out the top 5 to 10 ideas or potential offers that you could do or are currently doing if you already have an existing business. Then go through each of them and rank them from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. I guess that's kind of obvious. Based on the following criteria, the very first of which is net profit, which is essentially how much you make. If everything else is equal, making more money is arguably better than making less money. Next is fun and enjoyment. So how much do you actually enjoy doing this thing? As I talked about earlier, your customers and your audience and the people that you're seeking to serve, well, they can tell when you don't really like what you do, and it's hard to fake this long term. Next is ease of delivery. So how easy is it for you to deliver this product or service or fulfill upon the offer? Some things, like say selling a digital product, are relatively easy in regards to setting up an online payment system and accepting credit cards. Other things, like say large-scale manufacturing processes, well, they obviously take a whole lot more of everything. Next is ease of sale. How easy is it for you to explain to potential customers and actually make the sale? For example, are you selling something brand new that nobody has ever heard of before, and they may not even know that they have a need for it? Because if that's the case, you're going to need to spend a considerable amount of time and money and energy educating your potential customers about what this problem is and why they should care and why this new thing is the savior to all of their problems. Next is sustainability, which is really just a fancy word for how long could you do this for? In other words, is this a growing and rising trend in the market, or is it a dying fad that probably isn't going to be here in a few months? Then scalability, how big could this grow? The thing you want to look at here is known as a TAM, which stands for total addressable market. Essentially, is the market size big enough? Are there enough potential customers in order for you to grow the business to the size that you want? An important note here, not everything has to be a billion-dollar empire, but if that is your goal, then you better make sure that you're in the right market and the right industry. And then you have automate, which is how easy would this be to automate or to outsource this? Essentially, are there repeatable steps or systems that you can create in order to help the business run smoother and better and without you? Or are you the only one who's ever going to be able to do this? In which case, well, we have to rank it accordingly. Now, I appreciate all of these questions aren't necessarily easy to answer, but they are important. And the beauty and the power of going through this formula and going through this exercise is at the end, you basically have just a long list of numbers that you can add up and calculate to make a relatively logical and rational decision. And then, once you have that, the real fun begins, which is in the next step, design. One of the biggest mistakes that most businesses make, whether they're large or small, is spreading themselves way too thin, trying to do all of the things in all of the places for all of the people, all of the time, especially when it comes to marketing. Wasting time and money and energy on platforms and on channels that are just not the right fit for you or your business or your customers. Fortunately, there is a solution to this, which is why I would like to suggest you use the marketing master plan. So let me walk you through that now, starting with the first step, model. And good news for you, because you've already gone through the previous steps, this one should be pretty clear by now. So just write that down here, and then we can move on to the next step, market. The market stage is about identifying who you're going to serve and sell to. In marketing, we call this target market, or having an ideal customer avatar, or ICA. But basically, you need to be clear about what kind of person you help. Then you're gonna show them how you can help them in the next stage, the message. The message is where you show your market that you understand their problems and show them how you can help. An important note here, maybe even a secret, is that customers don't buy when they understand, they buy when they feel understood. So it's your message's job to show them that you get them. Of course, the best marketing and messages in the world won't do you any good if nobody sees them, which is where the next stage, media, comes in. It's here that you want to identify where your target market is present and active online and maybe offline as well. And then this next part's gonna seem pretty obvious, but the secret really is just to go there and to show up consistently. Of course, you also want to help make it very easy for them to reach out and to actually buy from you, which is where the next step, the machine, comes in. Now, the machine is really just a fancy term for a customer journey or a sales or marketing funnel, and its only job is to take someone who's never heard of you before and guide them through the process of becoming a lifelong and loyal customer. Or to put it another way, the machine is there to help you generate more and higher quality leads. Now, this part is so important that if you get it wrong or you ignore it, it doesn't matter how good your business or your offer or your idea is, it's not gonna work. So to help you fix that and to make sure this never happens to you, I've linked up a video right here that's gonna show you exactly how to generate more and higher quality leads and turn them into customers. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video. Here's the deal. No matter what business, market, or industry you're in, your ideal target market, those leads and prospects and clients you want to get in front of, well, they can all pretty much be found on social media.